Okay, let me share my recording. Sorry, let me share my screen. Let me also start the recording. So first of all, thank you very much for joining the session live. Those who are attending through YouTube, I will share a few links in the chat. You can also join from there. Let me see where the YouTube session is. Yeah, in case if you wanted to join the Zoom session so that you can interact with me directly, you can use the link. Let me share the link with you. This is mainly for the YouTubers, not for everyone. Uh, so there will be a registration link which I'm going to share. There's a registration link which I'm going to share. You just have to use that to join this meeting. In case if you have any challenges, continue watching on YouTube itself, because when it comes to Zoom, you have to register. For registration, you need to have a Zoom account. If you don't have Zoom account, you will run into issues. To overcome that, in case if it is not working for now, instead of wasting your time around uh, 1 minute. Instead of wasting your time troubleshooting your Zoom issues, just continue watching on the YouTube. Uh, in case if you wanted to get these details ahead of time, this is especially for those who join the session through YouTube, and also I'll share it in the Zoom chat. In case if you wanted to get these notifications ahead of time, just make sure you join the meetup group. Meetup is our formal platform to actually run these online events. Uh, that being said, Ritesh, you just focus on YouTube rather than Zoom. I'll take care of Zoom. You don't need to worry too much about Zoom. Already, I have placed the link for Zoom registration in YouTube. Other links you can share. So that being said, now let's proceed with the actual agenda. Let me get into full screen here, and then I'll take it further. So today's session is primarily to build a full stack application, which is nothing but EMI calculator using React as well as FastAPI. What are they? You will understand as we travel through this session. So this is the agenda. First, we'll go about the introduction. Then we'll talk about architecture and technology stack. Then we'll talk about development workflow, where we will actually understand cursor AI capabilities and how it can be used to build applications. Then we'll actually get into EMI product implementation, or EMI calculator product implementation, where you will be seeing uh, the core features of cursor in action. It will be hands-on, and you will understand how cursor can be used to build sophisticated applications. Uh, Building an application is incomplete unless it is tested properly. So we'll be spending a bit of time on testing. At the time also, we will see how cursor is used for debugging and troubleshooting any issues. Then finally, we will actually get into the deployment. And then we'll conclude. Uh, uh, by the end of it, you will understand how to build sophisticated applications with multiple layers using cursor. And the example which I'm taking is nothing but building EMI calculator. Before getting into the details, let me highlight who we are. This is ITVersity. 1 minute. I think the session is already recorded. Someone is asking to record on their computer. The session is already getting recorded, so I'm declining it, Rashid. The session is also available on YouTube. You can also watch on YouTube. Okay. Sorry for that. That being said, let me introduce ourselves, which is nothing but ITVersity. ITVersity is there for more than a decade as an YouTube channel, as Udemy, where we have published multiple courses on Udemy, on Python, data engineering, etc. We focus on training wide range of technologies, and also we conducting hands-on workshops. Through Meetup, we are planning to conduct quite a few workshops going forward to evangelize more about data and AI. Uh, as I have already shared the Meetup link, if you wanted to sign up, feel free to sign up and then wait for the notifications for any live events. We are also inviting speakers to talk on our website or Meetup group or whatever it is. So if you are interested to be a speaker, if you wanted to speak on something, feel free to reach out to us. We'll take it further. Also, we believe in community-driven learning. Earlier, I used to have a forum. It was quite successful, but uh, uh, now it was not. It is not there. However, we started Discord. So I'll also share the Discord link in case if you haven't joined our Discord server. Feel free to use that and join. Uh, Ritesh will share on YouTube, and I'll share on Zoom. So, in case if you haven't joined yet, feel free to join. There, I'm building a good community around the data, AI, and as of now, we have 200 plus, and I wanted to expand it further. So, we believe in community-driven learning. We'll be conducting quite a few free workshops or meetups. We'll also provide premium courses by using boot camps or cohorts. And our emphasis is on real world tools. We'll build with production quality techniques, and we will attempt to build fast. Those who follow me on YouTube or on Udemy, means my courses are a lot more in detail, where it talks about the production uh, uh, quality, how to build applications at production grade and scale. For last 2 years, I have paused a little bit, but going forward, we'll be adding a lot of content in YouTube, Udemy, and also using several forums where we have ITVersity footprint. That being said, don't forget to join our meetup group to get notifications for all the free live events, and also whenever we have a course ready, we will announce, and you can join if you are interested. Now, what are the objectives of the workshop? We'll be building a functional EMI calculator. I have taken a very simple example. Most of us are working professionals, and EMIs are part and parcel of our life, right? Uh, Even the dumbest guy know about EMI, right? We have to pay EMIs for our credit card sometimes. We have to buy for our mortgage loans, which are nothing but housing loans. We might have to even buy cars through auto loans. All these need EMIs, right? And I just wanted to take that use case so that you don't need to really think about the functionality of it, and focus on building the applications using AI-based approach, where we'll be using cursor as the tool. So we'll build a functional EMI calculator by end of this. In that process, you will master modern web app architecture. You will also understand how to build applications using AI assistants. You will experience AI assisted development using cursor as the tool. And finally, you will be actually building a deployable code. After this, you can give it a try. And if you run into any issues, you can seek this support through Discord. I'll try to support as much as possible. And it's a community based support. So even if you wanted to support others, if they run into any issues, feel free to support in Discord. Okay, so building a functional EMI calculator, understanding modern web app architecture, understanding AI assisted development, and building an application and getting the deployable code. are the workshop objectives. Before getting into the details, or after this, you can also give it a shot, right? When you attempt to build application by yourself using AI-based approach, you need to have certain tools. What are those tools? They are nothing but Node.js 18 or higher. The latest version of Node.js is recommended. Python 3.10 or higher. The I think latest Python version is 3.14 or 13. I am not 100% sure. But 3.10, 3.11, 3.12, these should work without much challenges. And also Git for version control. These are the required tools. Also, actually, Cursor is also required tool. Docker is also required tool. They are categorized under recommended tools. But you will also understand how to deploy the application, not only build. For deploying the application, I'll be using Docker. And in case if you wanted to practice by yourself, you also need to have the Docker. And for the development of the code, I'll be using Cursor. You can also use GitHub Copilot or Windsurf, but I have been using Cursor for quite some time. That's why I'm demonstrating using Cursor. In case if you wanted to use GitHub Copilot or Windsurf, feel free to do so. You might be able to build the application, but the prompting and the tool might be a little bit different. And finally, when you build the application, you need to validate, you need to troubleshoot or debug. For that, browser is important. I'll be demonstrating using Chrome, and hence it is recommended for you to set it up. So these are the required tools before you proceed further. You need to make sure everything is there without any issues. Uh, and uh, that being said, don't worry too much about this GitHub starter repository. If it is a live workshop, then I would have given a starter repository and take it further. This is not a live workshop, and hence you can ignore the right side part of it. Before proceeding to the next step, I wanted to see if I already have these tools or not. Even you can actually use these commands on your side when you start building by yourself, and only when you are ready, you can actually get into building the stuff. So that being said, first let me come out of the full screen mode, and first I'll be launching the terminal. Here we need to validate whether node is set up or not, because the front end is going to be built using React, and React packages needs to be managed by some tool, and those tools are accessible if you set up node. Okay. So to check whether node is already existing or not, you can say node space hyphen hyphen version if I'm not wrong, and you can see here I have 24.1 version of node. Also, we need to check about Python, right? So it's pretty straightforward. Uh, you can just say Python space hyphen hyphen version. You can see Python is also there, right? Then we need to validate other tools. Let's go back to the presentation. Git, yeah, Git also there. You can see here. So Git 2.39.5 is there. On top of it, we also need to have the cursor, right? So you can see the cursor, it is already there. For now, I'm closing it. I'll launch again at a later point in time. On top of it, we also need to have Chrome. Let me make sure I have Chrome opened. Yeah, you can see the Chrome is opened. Okay. So all the tools are there. Before taking it further, let me also show you the application, what you are going to build. Okay, let me actually open in incognito mode. Yeah, this is what you are going to build. We are going to use AI. When it comes to AI, when you attempt to build, it might not exactly the same. So when you attempt to build, it could be different. Even for the demo purpose, I'll be building from scratch. The outcome need not be exactly the same. There are ways to get the exact same result, but typically will not be getting the exact same result if you try to rebuild the same thing using AI again and again, because AI is probabilistic, not deterministic. Probability means it will change, or probabilistic means the outcome will change. However, uh, semantically, the outcome might be same, but from the UI UX perspective, the outcome might be different. So you will have all the functionality, However, the look and feel might be different. So don't worry too much if your outcome is significantly from mine, as long as the UI stays same. That being said, now let me go to the next slide. We have validated everything, and now it is time to go to the next slide. Uh, as we are done with the introduction, before actually getting into the action, we need to review the architecture and technology stack. Uh, Let me quickly stop the recording and start again. So now it is time for us to go through architecture and technology stack. Many of you might be curious why we are wasting time on this. Why don't we get into action to build the application? One of the key aspect with respect to building applications using AI is nothing but uh, understanding of terminology. If you don't understand the terminology, then you will not be able to prompt properly. In AI world, it is called as context. You need to have the context, and the context is accumulation of knowledge which can be used to get better results with AI, right? So terminology builds the context, and you should be familiar about the terminology to build the application. Then only the tools such as Cursor or Windsurf or GitHub Copilot uh, can be leveraged to build whatever you wanted to build. If you are not familiar about these terms, you will not be able to build the context. Then you will be roaming like a headless chicken. You will not be able to build the application. You will be in same loop, and there will be no progress at all. It will be very difficult to build anything if you don't have the knowledge about uh, the terminology that is required to build something. In this case, that something is nothing but web application. You should know quite a few details about the terms related to web application or mobile application. Then only you will be able to build without much challenges. That being said, as part of architecture and technology stack, first we will go through web application architecture. Then we will talk about fast API backend and capabilities. Then we'll actually talk about front end, and React is the most popular front end framework. We'll just touch base about it. We'll also talk about the role of Fast API in building web or mobile applications. We'll also talk about React in web development. There is React Native for mobile. React is only used in web. We'll talk about React in web. And also there is a concept called as proxy, and for that we use Nginx. We'll also talk about Nginx. So this is a very, very important slide. We'll deep dive, and these are the terms which you should start with at a higher level. So I always believe in learning in a hierarchical fashion. At a higher level, we have mobile or web application. Within web application, if you wanted to build using React or Fast, you have to finalize the framework. In this case, we are using React plus Fast API framework. If that is the case, these are the things which you should be aware of before building the application. Okay. Now let's go to the next slide. This is how a web or in this case it's a web application uh, can be visualized. So client means your browser. In your laptop, you have a browser, right? So client means the browser for web application. So that is here at the top, you can see, right? And then you have something called as the Nginx gateway. You don't need to break your head too much. Just keep in mind when you enter something like google.com or gmail.com or itversity.com or facebook.com, it goes to some proxy, and there are multiple technologies for the proxy. The most prominent technology is nothing but Nginx. All your requests will go to Nginx or similar technologies or tools, and from there the request will go to the other layers in the application. Eventually the data which you enter in the application will get into the database. So you have the database at the end. Database is the ultimate destiny for your data, both to store and also to read. Uh, especially when data is going to change. For example, if you log in, your email address, password might be one thing. After a while, you might change the password. So those have to be persisted somewhere. All these details go to the database, right? Uh, for experienced professionals, it is known. For freshers, you might not know about it. Keep in mind, whatever you enter as data, and if you are going to see the same data again, it is going through a layer called as database layer. So at the bottom, we have database. So there are two ways where you will be interacting with the database. One is your front end goes to backend, and from backend it will come to database. Sometimes some external applications will come to backend directly, and from backend it will come to database. And this should be a dashed line, not the bold line, because your front end will not get the data from the database directly. It has to come through fast API only. So there is a bit of correction required in this image. This is supposed to be a dashed line, because you will be seeing the data in your front end, which is nothing but your browser, uh, uh, and the data is actually coming through backend to front end. It will not come through directly. Sometimes when it is cached, you might be able to see the static data, but otherwise it always go through the backend only. Anyway, don't worry too much about it. So Nginx is your single entry point. From there, the data will go to the front end for static pages, back end for the dynamic data. And if dynamic data is involved, it comes from the database. Let me give a quick preview so that you understand what I'm talking about. So if you go to this page, right? So there are, if you go to this website, there are three main pages. One is basic calculator, second one is with prepayment, and the third one is compare loans, right? So as of now, these are all static. We don't have any data, and all these pages are rendered because of the React. Uh, as React is there, the pages are coming up without any issues. These are all static. However, when you enter the data and when you click on calculate, this data has to go somewhere, right? And also when you read the data, uh, uh, when you wanted to display the data, you have to read the data from somewhere. That's where the backend comes into picture. Now, if I enter loan amount of 50 lakhs or 5 million rupees or whatever currency you wanted to use, let's say interest rate is 9, and let's say 180 months is the tenure. As of now, the data is entered. It is only at your browser layer. It is not going anywhere yet. As soon as you hit calculate EMI, you can see all this data is showing up, right? If database is involved, it has to go to the database. But in this case, I haven't built this using database. This is not persisted anywhere. But when I click on calculate EMI, the request is going to backend, and that backend is actually computing this data. However, if you wanted to store this data in the database, you can do so. For that, you have to enhance your application. But for today's demo, we'll just build static application without database in the flow. If you wanted to persist into the database, you can enhance and you can take it forward. Right now, coming back to this slide. So this is the typical web application architecture. However, when it comes to our demo, there is no database involved. The data will be rendered either by React directly, or the pages will be rendered by React directly, or when you hit a button, we have implemented backend. You can also avoid backend and still build, but I wanted to give you the typical. I wanted to follow typical architecture which is followed in building the application, because the demo cannot be completed within 3 hours if I included database. So that's why I haven't included the database here. But typically for these applications, we should have the databases. That being said, now FastAPI is the backend which we are going to use. It is a Python-based framework, very powerful, asynchronous. The reason why I have picked this one is, first of all, for the backend, even though I have experience with Node, Java, and Python, last 5 6 years I am more focused towards Python. That is one reason I am fairly comfortable with Python. Second reason is, when it comes to AI, ML, building agents, Python is more prominent compared to other programming languages. And within Python, wherever the backend is involved, Fast API is the best fit. There are other frameworks also to build the backends. They are nothing but Flask and Django. But I have chosen Fast API because it is meant for especially building agents. It is asynchronous in nature. With Flask, it is not asynchronous in nature. And there are also other advantages like automatic documentation. So, for example, if I go here, right, let me go back to the browser. So I can say localhost 51C73, then docs. So these are called as Swagger documentation. This interface is called as Swagger interface for API documentation, and this is automatic with the with Fast API. With Flask and all, you have to add additional libraries and all. So you will get a high quality API docs with Fast API out of the box. This is one of the key advantage. Already I have mentioned about asynchronous and using Fast API for building agents. The second advantage is documentation, and you can build production scale applications without any issues. Now comes React. React is quite popular in web application development. Its sibling React Native is used for cross-platform mobile applications. S- So the key feature of React is nothing but component-based architecture, and you should be able to build interactive user interfaces without much challenges. I'll not be diving deep into all these nuances with respect to React because I'm not expert. That is one reason. Second reason is, here we are using React to build applications with the help of agents, and you don't need to worry too much about all the nuances related to React to begin with. Even without complete knowledge about React, you can quickly build the applications, and that applications can be production ready. That is the key. Okay. So why React? Reusable components. It provides the ability to manage the state within the web layer. It have rich ecosystem of libraries such as React Router, Redux, and so forth. And it is quite useful for applications like EMI Calculator, tax calculator. It can be used for many types of web applications, but for tax calculators or EMI calculators or any type of calculators, it is very handy. So that's why we are going with React. Uh, Now comes role of Fast API in web or mobile apps. As I mentioned to you, Fast API is backend, so you will be able to build the business logic yeah, in the backend using Fast API. Uh, for when we build any application with Fast API as the backend, for the web layer or front end, front end for web, we use either React or Angular. These are the most prominent web frameworks. There is also one more called as Vue. There might be others, but React and Angular are the most popular. When it comes to mobile, if you wanted to build something on iOS, Swift is the way to go. Kotlin, I am not 100% sure about Kotlin, whether it is Android only or both Android and iOS, but Swift is only for iOS. Also, we have React Native, the sibling of React, which can be used to build the front end of the web or mobile application. So we typically use these frameworks for web/mobile when we use Fast API as the backend. Now comes React as the front end. React is typically used for web application development. And when it comes to the backend, depending upon the programming languages we choose, we decide. It can be Stack, it can be Java Spring Boot, it can be Python Fast API. Mon stands for MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js. Similar to Fast API, uh, Express and Node comes into play. React is the React. MongoDB is the database. It can be for fast API. The most common database is relational database, but it supports other databases also. Uh, when it comes to Java Spring Boot, it is Java-based backend. If you are from Java background, you can build applications using Java as the backend. So this is about React in web application development. It is flexible front end with diverse backend options. It works with all prominent backends with different programming languages. Why these front ends and backends work with each other very well? The integration magic happens through something called as REST APIs. As long as you build your backend with REST, you can seamlessly integrate the backend with the front end using uh, these mobile or web front end frameworks. Okay. Now comes Nginx. It is high performance web server. It will be used as a static file server and also intelligent proxy. All our front end files will be rendered by Nginx, and also it will help us integrating our backend with not only our front end but also with other applications. Once we build a backend with the frameworks like FastAPI, we can expose this to many other applications, and they should be able to use our application without any challenges. Now, next thing, as we have gone through the details about architecture and technology stack, now it is time for us to get into development workflow. So let me quickly stop recording and start recording, and then we'll take it further. So those who have joined on YouTube, in case if you wanted to join our Zoom meeting, feel free to join. The link is provided in the chat. However, you might run into few issues. In case if you are running into any issues, don't try to troubleshoot now. You can join back. You can continue watching on the YouTube. However, if you don't want to miss these events, which we are going to conduct quite frequently, there is a meetup link. Just click on that link, sign up, and you should be good to go. Also, if you like the content, make sure you click on the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to subscribe. If you wanted to leave any comment about the session, feel free to use that. Your feedback is very, very important for our success. That being said, now let's get into the next section of this workshop, which is nothing but development workflow. So in this, we'll be talking about application build cycle, and plan, build, review, and deploy. We'll also go through Cursor AI capabilities from this perspective, and then we will review Cursor plan and build features, and then we'll actually get into planning and building using Cursor. Keep in mind, Cursor is pretty powerful and it is AI powered. It can be used for planning, automated task generation, and building the applications, troubleshooting the applications, and all. Okay. So this is the typical application build cycle. We have SDLC. You might be familiar about SDLC. We have 7 phases or 6 phases in the SDLC, depending upon the nature of the project. However, we can categorize them into these 4: plan, build, review, deploy. Maintenance is not required at this point in time. Review covers testing. Plan covers both requirements as well as design. So, plan means requirements and design. Build means implementation. Review means testing. Deploy means deploy. Once it is deployed, we'll get into the maintenance, right? So, that being said, as part of the plan, we'll try to define the scope, endpoints, components, and acceptance criteria, and we'll be using Cursor to actually plan. Once the plan is ready, we'll write code iteratively using AI-assisted development to implement the features. I'll start with a single statement: build EMI calculator, and we'll see the magic of building a good prototype of EMI calculator. I'm calling it as prototype because there is no database integration in the application. It is only front end and back end. But if you wanted to add, you can add. You can actually take it as an exercise and integrate with the database with all the key features. And in that process, if you run into any issues, reach out to us through Discord. We'll be there to support, and you can also support others in the process. Once the plan is done, we'll write the code iteratively for features which you wanted to build the application for. And then we'll actually review. We'll see whether the application is working as per the expectations or not. That's where the testing happens. And then finally, we will containerize using Docker. We'll configure Nginx and we'll run the application. I'll not be covering the details about deploying in the production, but that is what we typically do. We containerize, we configure Nginx, and we deploy in production. Now let's talk about Cursor's key development capabilities. There are many, but typical developers require these capabilities. They are nothing but code generation, code understanding, debugging, and troubleshooting. So code generation means when you give the prompt, it should give you the code, and you should be able to use that code to build the application. Code understanding means, let's say, as a team, we are building an application over a period of time. And we might want to understand the existing code for various reasons, to add new features, to troubleshoot and fix the bugs, so on and so forth. So you can actually use Cursor itself to understand the code. If you ask the Cursor to actually go to the file and explain, it will explain in plain English, and you can interact in interactive fashion as if you are talking to your peer or your supervisor, right? So code understanding is very, very key feature which you need to keep in mind. And the third core feature which you should be familiar about to build sophisticated applications using Cursor is nothing but debugging and troubleshooting. We'll see all these in action when we get into building the application. For now, don't worry too much if you don't understand how to achieve these using Cursor. The objective of this workshop is primarily for you to understand these three features of the Cursor. So Cursor can be used for plan and also the build. What we get when we use Cursor for plan, we'll be able to generate task list and the file structure, which means how the whole project will look like. It is called as scaffolding. Scaffolding routes, components, and models can be achieved as part of the plan. It will give the details about how your folder structure will look like in the plan stage. But using that, you should be able to build. You will be able to scaffold your project, which means setting up the structure for your project and keep on adding the features. As part of the plan, you can also take care of the reviewing of the requirements, because in plan, by giving a high level prompt, you will be able to get the requirements for your project. Okay, you should be able to review and confirm whether those are up to the mark or not. If you wanted to change, you can change, so on and so forth. So reviewing the requirements, reviewing the architecture, and refining the proposals can be done in the plan stage. We'll see those details in action very soon. Once we go through all these details, we'll lock in the final project structure and we'll hit the build. And as part of the build, Cursor will take care of implementing the tasks with contextual differences. It will generate the code with the clear explanations. It will help you in reviewing the code and giving the feedback. It will take the feedback also. And you should be able to build a sophisticated application at a very fast pace. So with plan and build separated, you will be able to maintain full architectural control while accelerating your development. Now let's get into the next section. Again, I will stop recording and start, and then I'll take it further. So now let's talk about EMI product implementation. We'll be building a functional EMI calculator with React for the front end and FastAPI for the back end. The functional scope is having input fields like this. I have already shown, right? So it will be something like this. And once you enter data, The EMI should be calculated based on the interest rate, durations, and so forth. Uh, we will also take care of application architecture, component layout, API design, how the data should flow between front end and back end. We'll also set up a project and also we'll review the structure. Uh, we don't need to do anything actually. Cursor will do. Once Cursor take care of it, we'll actually review. And then we'll actually see how Cursor can be used to plan and then build. We'll also get into the details about how to debug and troubleshoot the issues in case if you run into any issues when at the time of validation. That will be covered as part of the next section. For now, we'll just focus on the core implementation. If we don't see the application running as per the expectations, we'll fix those at a later point in time. So that being said, the functional scope when it comes to EMI calculator is nothing but input principal amount, annual interest and tenure. It can be months or years. You can see here. So here we are taking the loan amount, the annual interest rate, and the tenure. It can be switched between years and months, and it can be reducing balance or it can be flat rate. Flat rate means it is not very popular in the EMI world. Typically, we use reducing balance, but there are loans where you pay fixed interest every month, no principal prepayment. It's only interest. If it is a 5-year term flat rate loan, after 5 years, you have to pay back the whole amount at once. When I say whole amount, I'm talking about the principal. Okay. So these are the input parameters. These are the inputs which we can provide, and then we should be able to see the output. What should be the output? It can be, it is nothing but monthly EMI payment. You can see the monthly EMI payment is nothing but this much. And this is the principal amount. This is the total interest after 15 years. This is the total amount, which is nothing but addition of these two. And also, if we go back to this, uh, um, there is no table here, but if you go through the functionality at the bottom, there is a table for all the 180 months. There are some visuals and so forth. So these fall under advanced features. You can see here. Uh, Actually, those are not even considered as part of the advanced features or additional features. In additional features, yeah, actually amortization schedule. So this table which you are seeing here is nothing but amortization schedule where you will see every month what is the EMI, what is the principal you are paying, what is the interest, and what is the outstanding balance. This is called as amortization schedule. That is considered as additional features. Edge case validations, so we should be able to validate our application for edge cases. And input form with real-time feedback. This is already there. We are able to see the results automatically. You can also add additional features like this. Also, sometimes we might wanted to prepay out of 50 lakhs every 6 months. We might wanted to prepay 5 lakhs, right? Or every 3 years we wanted to pay back 5 lakhs. So if you are prepay 5 lakhs, your interest will go down, right? So that your interest and can go down, or your EMI can go down, or your tenure should go down. Whenever you do any prepayment, either your EMI should go down or your tenure should go down, right? That is covered under with prepayment. You can also compare loans with different rates and also reducing balance versus flat rate. So these are the additional features which I have included. We can also include these when we build the application eventually. Okay. On top of whatever are covered here, I have covered quite a few additional in this application. So what is the implementation strategy? The server-side calculation should happen, sorry, not the server-side calculation, the actual EMI calculation should happen on the server side, which is nothing but backend. That's where FastAPI comes into picture. And you should be able to navigate through all these pages without any issues. That's where React comes into picture. And the formula should be same across for all types of functionality. For example, in this case, uh, if I go back to the basic calculator, the last statement actually mean something like this. So whether you use years or months, when you use years, if you say 15 versus months 180. In the end, it should use the same formulas to calculate, which means same functions to calculate. You should not be having redundant code. So these are the things which you need to keep in mind while building the application, right? Typically, cursor will take care of modularizing properly if you prompt properly, or if you review the tasks and if you see if everything is planned properly or not. On top of these things, we also have these UI features: export to PDF, export to Excel. I don't think these are related to backend. This is just a UI related feature. Sometimes it also make backend calls, but in this case, it doesn't. So that being said, now let's go to the next slide. Uh, from the higher level, the EMI calculator architecture is you have a React-based form where you enter the details, and then it will invoke slash API slash EMI or slash calculate to actually calculate. Once it calculate, you will get the results. Those results will be displayed here. Let me show this in action. In this case, I am going to the docs, right? You have API calculator. It's not EMI. There is a uh, problem. So API calculate is the right one, right? And here there is something called a straight out. I can click on this and you can see here it is talking about principal, which is nothing but 50 lakhs. Don't use commas in 50 lakhs or 5 million. Just type only numbers. Annual interest rate is, let's say, 9. Tenure is 180 months. In this case, it is reducing balance. Now, if I click on execute, this is how it is going to return. So this is the direct backend call. The backend returns data like this. And then React will consume the data which is returned by the backend, and it will display the results like this. Okay. So all this is achieved following this not implementation strategy, following this calculator architecture. So we use React to enter the data. The request have gone to backend. It have returned the results. Those results are displayed in the UI. We have not only displayed the table and all, we have even charts as well, right? So we will be building something like this as part of this workshop. Now, when it comes to the product setup, we'll be setting up something called as monorepo. So there are different ways to actually build full stack applications. It can be separate repos for front end or back end, but in our case, we'll be using monorepo. For front end, we will be using White, React, and TypeScript. React is the main framework. TypeScript is the programming language which actually help you in building the front end. For backend, we'll be using FastAPI. There has to be models, even though there is no database. For that, we'll be using Pydantic. So to run backend, you need to have a server. So we'll be using something called as Uvicorn. If you are from Flask or Django background, you might have heard about Unicorn. Uvicorn is similar to them for FastAPI. For testing, I will not be getting into unit testing at this point in time. I'll be just validating the application, and I'll be doing some API tests, which I have already demonstrated. Also, there will be a bit of React based testing. We'll actually go to inspect and see if everything is working fine or not. Uh, we'll not be following any branching strategy in this session, but typically we should follow. And if you wanted to build CI/CD pipeline, you can focus on these things, but don't worry too much about those at this time. We have to focus on documentation so that we understand how the application can be deployed and validated. And we also need to come up with the scripts to develop, build, test, and deploy. Especially once the code is ready, in case if you wanted to validate locally, you have to start the front end and back end. For that, it is better for you to have scripts. Even when you deploy in the production, they will run in a different way. For that also, we need to have the scripts. Don't get overwhelmed with all these things. These will be automatically be provided for you by Cursor. If not, you just need to be familiar about these things so that you can build those and take it forward. Now let's get into the demo where we'll be actually seeing the plan part of Cursor. and then we'll actually get into the build part, and then we'll take care of the testing and deployment. Before getting into the plan part, let me stop the recording and start the recording, and then I'll take it further. Uh, Let me share. So, as I have already mentioned to you, before you proceed further, you need to have certain prerequisites when you actually do it by yourself. For now, you don't need to, but eventually, when you actually get into the implementation, before you get here, you need to take care of the prerequisites. What are those prerequisites? You should have Node, you should have Python, you should have Cursor, also you should have Git. All these have to be there, then only you will be able to use and build effectively. Okay. Now let me launch the Cursor, and I'll be creating a new project. How I will be creating a new project? First, I'll be going to my browser and say github.com. You also need to have GitHub account. Now let me create a repository. The repository is nothing but EMI Calculator. It is available. We don't need to worry too much about any of these things at this juncture. Let me click on create repository. Now the repository is created. I'll be creating a new repository and integrating with this. For that purpose, I have to go to my terminal, or let me do this. I don't think I need to do all these things. What I can do is, once the Git repository is ready, right? You just go to the cursor and then click on clone repo, and then click on uh, provide the link and click on clone from GitHub. So in this case, the link is nothing but this one. I can come here and then I can say clone repo, provide the link, and then click on clone from URL. It will ask you to provide the location where you wanted to clone this repository. In my home directory, I'll be using projects. In the projects, I'll be creating this. So let me click on open. You can see here, it have created a folder by name EMI-calculator-1 because already I have one EMI-calculator, that's why. Okay. But when I push the changes, it will go to my GitHub repository EMI calculator only. So don't worry too much about this -1. In my case, when you try to set up, if you use the same repository name, you might not see this -1 at the end. Okay. Now this is the cursor interface. If you are familiar about VS Code, cursor is a flavor of VS Code. It will be same like this. Uh, uh, but there are few additional things which are added with cursor. Even these days with GitHub Copilot, you will be seeing a chat interface like this, but before it was not there. But remaining things are more or less same as VS Code. You can see the file explorer here. You have the search. You have the Git. You have other details here, right? So it's a flavor of VS Code only. Hence, the interface is strikingly similar to VS Code. However, they have improvised on top of it by adding the agentic capabilities. The main thing is this right one, right? So if you are using Mac, I think to get it, it will be automatic. If you don't see, probably if you go to view uh, or somewhere, you might see this. I forgot the shortcuts. Uh, on Mac, it is Command L. You can see here. On Windows, I think it's Control L to toggle this chart interface. And in this, the most important section is this bottom one. All these components are very, very important. This is send. As of now, it is grayed out. Don't worry too much about it. You can attach images. You can also use Command C, Command V on Mac, Control C, Control V on Windows to actually copy paste images. Then you cursor works with different coding models or different models. In my case, I'm using Claude 4.5 Sonnet, but it supports GPT-5 GPT-4o, Groks, and so forth. So depending upon your preference, you can choose the one which you wanted to go with. But Claude 4.5 is the uh, most comfortable for me, and I think as of now, when it comes to coding, Claude is the most prominent compared to any other model, right? Then this is very important. You see, there are four different types here. It can be agent, it can be plan, it can be background, it can be ask. So ask is just to clarify your questions. For example, can you list the core features of Fast API? Be crisp and clear. I only need high level bullet points. So you can ask questions like this and it will provide the answers, right? It is actually working with LLM under the hood, which is nothing but Claude 4.5 Sonnet. And now you can see it have consolidated the information. It is talking about all the core features of Fast API, high performance, fast developments, and so forth. Okay. So this is ask, right? And you can add more charts. It need not be single chart. You can have as many sessions as you want. You can add one more chart. You can close the other charts which are not relevant for you by just clicking on that X. And also you can click on this to review the chart history. You can delete a particular chart. Uh, I think yeah, this is grayed out. The UX is not very good. I don't know how whether it's delete or something else, but you should be able to delete from. Yeah, I think that is delete. It is already deleted. So you can delete those charts from the history. You can see as of now there are no charts. Let me delete this. Let me also delete this. Right. So as of now there are no charts. All are deleted. Now we are talking about plan, right? So for plan you have to click on this. Now let's start with. I would like to build uh, EMI calculator. First, let us narrow down the requirements. So here I am only working on getting the requirements ironed out. Once we get the requirements, then we can focus on designing it and taking it further. Now you see, it is asking questions. It is very important for you to read, understand, and respond appropriately. Many people don't read completely. Uh, until you are quite comfortable with the tool, you should read completely, interpret, and act. Then only you will be able to see good results. Otherwise, you will be seeing half-baked results, or at times it can be counterproductive also. Let me quickly read through this. It is saying, I would be happy to help you build an EMI calculator. Let me ask a few questions to understand your requirements better. What type of application you would like to build? Web application, command line tool, mobile app, desktop application. So it is asking what type of application you wanted to build. So in this case, it is nothing but web application. I'm not telling it is React. I just said web application. Then what features should the EMI calculator include? And again, there are three options. Basic EMI calculation only, where principal, interest rate, tenure, monthly EMI. Basic plus amortization schedule. So the first one is about, sorry. The first one is someone is not on mute. There is a bit of background noise. Let me fix that and then I'll take it forward. Yeah. So that being said, the basic features are nothing but these, entering the details and then getting these details. The second option is basic plus amortization schedule. So amortization schedule means on top of these, because it is saying basic plus amortization schedule, it is referring to this table. Okay. And the third option is advanced, includes prepayment options, charts, comparison tools. So this is completely new chat, and see, it is actually asking whatever features we have in this application. It is not from my application. It is based on its world's knowledge. Okay. So it is actually helping you streamline your requirements. You might have thought through this, or you might not have thought through this, right? And you might have thought through this, but for now, these are not that important. Then you can only choose B, right? So like that, you can make the decision, and you can take it forward. Now, in this case, I'm saying 2C because I wanted to include advanced features also. Do you have a preferred technology stack, or should I choose based on best practices for the application type? So for 3, what I will say is, first, let us iron out the requirements, and then we will get into design where we can brainstorm about technology stack. Okay. This is how you can respond. But if you are clear about the technology stack, you can directly specify the technology stack also. This is a simple application, and we know which technologies we want to use. Hence, I'll say React for front end, Fast API for backend, no database at this juncture. Now it will take a little bit of time, and then we'll be able to see the details. You can see here, it is actually talking about the project structure, right? So there will be a front end folder and back end folder in the project. Then core API endpoints, calculate EMI, amortization schedule. It is also referring to input and output. Then calculate with prepayment for prepayment feature, uh, compare loans. You can also see the backend structure, main.py, models.py, calculations.py, requirements.txt. And then it is actually talking about the front end implementation, EMI calculator, amortization schedule, EMI chart, so on and so forth. Right? This is how it look like. However, from this, we don't know what pages we'll be having from the UI side. Okay. So for that reason, just give me a minute. I'm good. So here, it is not mentioning about the pages which we wanted to, which it is going to build. So let's see once again whether it is referring to any pages. Uh, I'm not seeing any details about the pages, right? So if you have a wireframe, you can pass that wireframe to this as an image, and you can take it further. Or you can also say, from the details, I am not sure if you are considering uh, different pages based on the functionality, which are functionalities which we have finalized. So here, if you click on build, it will start building. Still, I wanted to plan and then eventually take it further to build. You have to spend good quality time in planning. Don't get into build directly until you are confident about whatever it is actually conveying to you based on the prompt, right? It is saying single page with tabs, one page with the tab navigation switching between, uh, multiple separate pages, like different routes pages with all these things. A hybrid approach, main calculator on homepage with integrated sections plus separate pages for advanced features like comparison tool. Okay, so now let's go back here and let's understand whatever we have done here. There are no endpoints. Probably behind the scenes, there might be endpoints. It might not be showing here. I'm not 100% sure about how this is built. But in this case, I wanted to have the separate endpoints for separate pages like prepayment, comparison, etc. Amortization is fine. I will go with hybrid approach. Main calculator on homepage with integrated sections plus separate pages for advanced features like comparison tool. So I can explicitly call it out. Okay, I'll go with the hybrid approach. There should be separate pages for prepayment and comparison. Now let me hit enter. So what it will do, it will go through these details and refine, and it will update the to-do list. The most important part in this is the to-do list at the bottom. It is saying initialize project structure, implement fast API backend with core EMI calculation endpoints and models, add prepayment and uh, uh, loan comparison endpoints to backend, set up React plus White frontend with routing, API service and utilities, build basic EMI calculator component with form and result display, implement charts and amortization table components, add prepayment calculator and loan comparison features, apply Tailwind CSS styling, ensure responsive design, add loading states, test all features, write README with setup instructions. So these are the to-do tasks, and it will start executing these tasks in right order with dependencies. Now, once you are comfortable with this, you just have to hit on build. It will take off building the application. Now let's go back to the presentation. The plan is part is done. Now it is build part. You can see here. Uh, 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 it will go through all the to-do list, all the items in the to-do list, and it will just build. You will end up having the React code. You will end up having the fast API code. This will be integrated, and you will be able to see the functionality as per the expectations. There might be deviations. We should be able to mitigate those without much challenges. That being said, as we are ready, let's click on build and let's see the magic of building the application. It will take few minutes. You can track the progress by clicking on this. Uh, I think it is already running. Yeah, you can see here, even though it is not showing much of a progress here in to-dos, you can click on expand. Sorry, you can click on files here and you can see here. This is where it is actually making the progress. Already it have created a backend folder and it have added the requirements.txt. You can see, and it have even come up with the logic under models.py. This is Pydantic model, which is provided by FastAPI to us. Models are typically used to integrate with the database, but in this case, it is defining the classes, and eventually we can easily add the database functionality also without much challenges. That being said, now you can keep track of the progress. It will take quite a bit of time, and uh, this is a relatively new feature. Sometimes, as the features are built, it marks these as done. Sometimes it doesn't. Eventually, these will be marked as done once they fix the bugs. For now, sometimes it is not working as per the expectations. However, still it is in the initializing the project structure. Actually, most likely the initialized project structure is done by now, because you can see there are quite a few files which are created. You can see here, right? Let me collapse the to-dos and you can see it have it have created quite a few files. However, the code is still in progress, but at least this first part is done. What is the first part? Initializing the project structure with the front end and back end directories. Okay. You can keep track of the progress like this. While it is building, we'll also see here what is going on, if it is updating anything here. Yeah, here also it is not updating anything, but I have observed that these will be marked as done once everything is implemented. Okay, we need to wait here. It will take a bit of time. Yeah, Meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, feel free to raise those questions. I'll clarify. Okay. So, uh, Archit is asking for the repo link. Archit, we will share the repo link. Let me share now itself. We'll also share in Discord later. All the resources will be provided in the Discord. It's a public one, so you can also clone from here, but you have to fork and take it further. You will not be able to make changes directly. Okay, and Teja is asking, I don't have the plan option. I think plan option is only available for the paid version. You might have to pay for it and take it further. Also, if you are in India, probably they might not have added there. I think the root cause could be the paid version. I use paid version of Cursor. Even without plan, you can only do so much. You will be able to build sophisticated applications or even good prototypes with paid versions at a reasonable pace. If not, you will not be able to build anything at a reasonable pace. Okay. So we need to wait until this is done. It will take quite a bit of time, probably 10-15 minutes also. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Okay, so Anusha is asking to share the final prompt. Let me share the final prompt. What I will do is I'll share the entire chat, Anusha. There is the export chat option. I hope you guys can see it. Yeah, it is being shared. So what I will do, I will export this and I'll share that markdown file. Okay, it is not letting me to send the file through chat. Uh, okay, what I will do is I will, okay, even if I try to paste, it will have issues. It will not work. Sorry, Anusha, I will not be able to send it because it is not letting me to do so for whatever reasons via Zoom. What I will do is, if you are on Discord, I will share it on Discord. So please join the Discord and in the announcements, you will be able to see the details. So what I will do, I will create a thread of this. So I have created a thread saying resources for workshop in announcements, and I'll be attaching the prompt there. The whole discussion is uh, the whole prompt is attached here in the Discord. So Anusha, feel free to join the Discord and then go to announcements under general, and you should be able to see the details. Okay, so let's check the progress now. It is still going on. You can see it have already generated 28 files. Um, Let me check the functionality. It is almost there. So another 2-3 minutes, it should be ready, and we should be able to validate. Let's wait until it is completely done, and we'll take it forward. So those who have joined through YouTube, Uh, if you want the resources to be available, make sure to join our Discord, and yeah, you should be able to get all the resources. And also, if you wanted to get the meetup invitation going forward, join our meetup. In the chat, we have already provided the details. You just have to join meetup, and then you just have to RSVP whenever the session is done, and then you should be able to see all these in action. So, sir, so there are a few questions here. Teja is saying, I can see a feature to compare. Are we going to compare the options from different banks? Not from the banks, but yeah, different criteria. You will understand those details once the functionality is ready. Uh, Nikhil is asking, did you try Amazon AI Code Editor Cairo? I haven't tried. I have a AI advisory board, and one of the advisory board member have suggested this already. We will do the R&D and we'll get back to you on that. Okay. I'll plan a session on that. If you wanted to speak, we can work together, and you can actually demonstrate as well, Nikhil. It will be great to host you if we can come up with a good use case and demonstrate the Cairo. I know about it, but I haven't tried it yet. Uh, Rajan, I might not be able to pronounce your first part of the name properly. That's why I'm calling you as Rajan. Will there be one more session having the feature that gets the data from database? Yeah, definitely. We will plan. Probably in another 2 3 weeks, I'll plan. That will be a very nice add-on. I wanted to cover today itself, but because of the time constraint, I haven't. What we can do is we can actually show how to integrate with the database and how to deploy and access using something like emi.itversity.com or itversity.com/EMI. All right. So I wanted to close all the uh, uh, I wanted to close the complete loop and show you something which is live in action. We will do that definitely. So that being said, now let's see where we are. Almost done. Let's click on keep all. Okay. Now, if you look at it, the front end is done. The back end is also done, but there are no instructions to actually run this. Okay. Uh, at the plan itself, at the plan stage itself, we can actually ask to add one more task to provide the scripts to launch front end and back end and validate, and it would have generated those scripts as well. But as of now, it didn't. So now we can say, okay, there seems to be front end and back end implemented, but the scripts, but I couldn't find the scripts to run those. Can you add? So it is already in agent mode. Most likely, it will add those scripts directly. In case if you don't want to add, and if you wanted to first review the task and take it further, then you have to switch back to plan stage. See here already, because I click on build, it is in agent stage. You have to switch to plan in case if you wanted to revise and come up with the tasks and then implement once you finalize, you have to switch back and forth between plan and agent. It is very, very important. Okay, but as of now, it is just uh, adding the scripts directly. And see here, it is making mistakes. It is actually adding all the shell and batch scripts in front end and back end respectively. Actually, it is doing good job. There is uh, start and there are setup scripts for backend, setup scripts for front end, and then at a higher level, there are start scripts. So most likely, if you run these, it will run your front end and back end, and everything will be up and ready without running these individually. I think that is what it is doing. It will be better if you use plan and understand what it is attempting to do before actually implementing. But in this case, I have gone with the implementation directly. So let's wait until everything is done, then we will take it forward. See here, it haven't updated this because we haven't asked it to revise the plan. We have just asked it to add the scripts. That's why it is attempting to add the scripts directly. Let's wait until it is fully implemented. It should not take very long time. And one more thing is, if you observe, it is also coming up with a lot of markdown files. So when we ask for the scripts, it have created this scripts.md. We can actually go to the preview mode and review what we have. And you can see here, run everything easiest, start.sh. Both services will be started automatically. Start hyphen manual.sh shows manual instructions if automatic doesn't work. So this script will only show the commands. You have to run them explicitly. This one will actually run everything automatically. And if you wanted to run only backend, you have to go to the backend and run backend. If you wanted to run only front end, you can go to front end and run the front end. Okay. So BAT are for Windows, Shell for Mac or Linux. Now it is ready. Now let's launch the terminal. How to launch the terminal? You just click on this and you can see the terminal. Right now, you should be able to say start.sh. I don't know why I am not able to type. Let me try once again. Yeah. Now you see it is actually setting up the backend. As we haven't installed any dependencies and all, it is considering it as first time, and you can see it is installing all the dependencies that are defined in requirements.txt. So it is actually taking care of installing all these dependencies. Once that is done, it will start the backend, which is based on FastAPI. Then it will take care of starting the front end, and we should be able to access it without any issues. Let's wait until everything is done, then we'll take it further. Let's also check the port on which front end is going to run. Again, you can go to front end and actually let's go through the documentation. Let me go to README and open preview. So tech stack, back and front end, it have actually highlighted the folder structure. You can see here. Then easiest way, it have even updated the readme.md after we asked it to add the uh, scripts to start, right? And the backend is going to run on 8000. However, it will conflict with my other application, or it can conflict with the other application, and it might fail. We'll troubleshoot that issue and we'll take it further. Then you can see the front end. So backend is going to run on port number 8000 and front end is going to run on port number 5173. Let me click on allow. It is going to conflict with my other one. Let me see. Let me go to my uh, Chrome. Yeah. Actually, that other one is dead already. I think it have killed the existing one. And you can see the new application. So there's a difference between the previous application and this application. You have the EMI calculator here, then home, prepayment, comparison, and all. And at the bottom, we have copyright and all, right? And it also auto-filled the amount. And if you click on calculate EMI, it is failing. We have to troubleshoot and then we have to take it further. But at least the application is running as per the expectations. To troubleshoot, I'll be quickly running this command lsof-i. It will not be working on Windows, but it can work on Mac. I'm also trying 5173. Okay. So before taking it further, let me check if any Dockers Docker stuff are running. Let me close this. Okay. Okay. Now let me try this. Most likely yeah, actually there's a conflict between my Docker application, which I have launched earlier to showcase the existing application and the new one. That's why there is an issue. Let me first fix that and then we'll take it further. So in this case, I'm going to the appropriate location. You don't need to go through this exercise because for you it will not be there. But I have to do this. Docker compose -f. Now let me exit. Yeah. Let me clean this up and let me run again. Okay. Now let me try. First, I'll try this. Yeah. Now this came. Let me also try the docs. Okay, docs is not working as per the expectations. We need to eventually fix this. And then, okay, docs should be this one. Sorry. Let me use this. Okay, this one is not working. Let me also try. Yeah. So the backend is not coming up. Let me see. Yeah. So for some reason, the backend is not working. Okay. So let me run start manual.sh. Okay, Uvicorn is not found. So now we are actually going to the troubleshooting of the issue. So it is already pasted. Even though you are not seeing here, most likely it seems to be pasted. Let me see. Yeah, it is pasted. Uh, and here I have to say the backend is not coming up as per the expectations. One of the challenge with these AI-based applications is if I do R&D and if I try to follow same instructions, we will end up running into different kinds of issues. Earlier, I haven't gone into this issue at all, but here I am getting into this issue. So, so I think as part of the requirements.txt, the Uvicorn was not there, or it seemed to have not installed. It is there. I don't know why. Yeah, now it is updating this file with additional things. Okay. Earlier it is Uvicorn, now it is Uvicorn standard 0.32.0. So in case if you wanted to use specific versions of libraries and all, you can take care of it at the time of the planning itself. Yeah, now it seems to be working fine. Yeah, it have fixed the issue. Now it is running setup.sh. And it is also creating a quick reference guide in the backend for whatever reasons. Still, we have quite a few things to take care of. We need to Dockerize this, and there are also quite a few concepts which you need to be familiar about. It will take another hour at least. Okay. And then only we'll be able to understand the validation and containerizing part for production for to deploy it in production. Okay, now you see it have made all the changes. Let me clean up these things, and then let me say start.sh once again. Now let me see if this is working as per the expectations or not. Yeah. Now you can see the API docs, uh, and now you should be able to click on calculate the EMI, and you can see the details. Okay. So here it is about 240 months, which means 20 years. And amortization schedule is in the table. Earlier, it was not in the table in my application, whatever I have built as part of the R&D. But here you can see the table paginated. Earlier, it was a single table, right? So here you can see paginated table, and you can see first 20 months, and then you can go to the other pages. Okay, so this is how you should be able to build the application. This is just the beginning. There are quite a few things which you need to keep in mind to actually build top class applications. For example, your header, the color codings, the footer, all those things should be thought through, and you have to build properly. Okay. Uh, for example, you might want to have the frozen header rather than a floating header rather than now if I scroll down, header is going off, right? You might want to have the header floating. You also might want to have the profile page in case if you have the multi-user application that should go here. So all those things which you should be familiar about, and you can use ask to understand those best practices to build a web application, and then you can take it further. So you have to use ask to learn, plan your application, and then um, uh, agent to build. All three are very, very powerful. You need to spend a good amount of time on all three, not just build. Ask, plan, and build. Ask to learn, plan your application, build to implement, or agent to implement. It's not build, it's agent. Okay. So that being said, I'll not be getting into beautifying this website, but now we have to spend time in validating and testing, which we have already done up to an extent, and then we have to take it to the next level. Now let me go back to the presentation. As we have gone through the details about using plan and build in Cursor to build sophisticated applications, now it is time for us to get into the details related to testing and deployment. Let me stop the recording here. Now let's when it comes to testing, typically we might have to have unit tests, but in this case I'm not getting into those details. The main testing which will be doing is contract testing. And the beauty of using Fast API is using those API docs to actually test the application before we test our front end. We'll spend some time in testing quite a few scenarios, and then we will also fix certain issues, whatever we wanted to fix. You'll understand how to use cursor effectively to fix certain issues. It could be bugs, it could be adding features, it could be removing the features. Whatever it is, you should be able to use the cursor to take care. Once we close on testing and validation, then we'll get into Dockerize and deploying with Nginx. Nginx is proxy. You will understand a little bit about that. But in the next session, where I end up covering database integration and production deployment, we'll get into a lot more details. That being said, when it comes to testing, these are some of the things which you need to keep in mind. Type and lint checks, which is primarily at code level, not at application level. Most likely, Cursor will do a good job as long as you follow the process of plan and build. It will actually modularize the code properly and all. As part of the plan, we have directly jumped into implementation from the requirements. You can spend a lot of time on the design part also, and you can enforce cursor to follow the design to build the application. At that time, you can actually take care of all these lint rules and all. But typically, you don't need to spend too much of time in reviewing the code personally. Okay. Then contract testing is very, very important because your application might not be used only by you. There might be third party companies which want to use your APIs. Hence, the contract testing or API testing is very, very important. Performance checks are very important. In this case, we don't have database integrations and all. Hence, we will not be doing a lot of performance checks. But we'll be spending a good quality time on contract testing. Unit testing and UX validations are also very, very important, especially if you wanted to build a mobile-friendly web application. You should review whether your application is rendering properly on mobile or not. The users might end up opening the web application in the mobile. Still, it should be optimized for mobile, right? So UX validation, keeping those things in mind is very important. Okay. So now let's get into the details about testing and validation. And in this process, if there are any issues, we'll fix, and then we'll get into deployment strategies, and we'll also talk about Dockerizing this for the deployment purpose. So first and foremost, I'll be focusing on the API validation. For that, we have to go to the backend URL, localhost colon 8000 with the docs as endpoint. Our backend fast API is actually running uh, using 8000 port. Okay. Now you can see there is a endpoint called as the calculate EMI. You can click on it, and you can click on try it out, and you can specify the principal, then annual rate, then tenure months and all. Right. Principal is, let's say, 50 lakhs or 5 million. Annual rate is, let's say, 7.25, and tenure in months is, let's say, 240, which is 20 years. Now, if I click on execute, you can see the outcome as per the expectations. Okay, this is only the EMI calculation, and you can see the EMI calculated here. Okay, the EMI is this much, total payment is this much, total interest is this much. This is the principal, annual rates, and so forth. Now, if you wanted to validate the amortization schedule, you can click on this. Again, you can click on try it out, and you can actually say principal, again 50 million, then or 5 million or 50 lakhs. Annual rate is 7.25%. Tenure is 240 months. Start date, I'm not sure about the format, but let me try this 2025 11/01. 2025 November 1st. Let me execute, and you can see here So it have given all 240 months functionality. I mean, 240 months EMI, principal payment, interest payment, whatever it is. It is nothing but amortization schedule. Now, if you look at this, right? So as part of this validation, we have seen that it haven't implemented the flat rate functionality, right? Now, again, we can go back to the cursor, plan and build. How to do that? Let's create a new chart. Don't use the existing charts because we are not fixing or changing anything on top of existing one, right? Now I'm saying please review the code and confirm. Okay, first let's make sure the changes are pushed to Git repository and then we will take it forward. Now I'm going back to the previous chart and saying please push the changes to Git repo. That way we can keep track of the changes. If something is not working fine, we can go back to the previous Git version, or if we are using branching strategies, we can check out the main branch and start making the changes from there. So Git is also a very, very important tool which you should master in case if you want to build top class applications. Cursor and Git combination can work like a magic. Now, you don't need to memorize all the commands and all. As long as you know the terminology of Git, you are good to go. Branching, pushing, uh, pull request, those are the terms which you should be familiar about. And if you are interested, I can plan a Git essential workshop very soon so that you can master Git from the perspective of building building applications using AI approach. Okay, so that being said, now it seems the changes are pushed. We can review by going to our GitHub account. Let's see. You can see all the changes here. Okay. Now the repository is updated in the GitHub. Now we'll go to the next change. Okay. So here I'm saying plan. I'm not even saying plan. I'm just saying agent. I'm asking it to review the code and see if I have the functionality for flat rate implementation or not. Okay, please review the code and confirm if flat rate functionality is implemented or not. Okay, so here, because we are using agent, it might end up making the changes. We have to control it not to make changes. Uh, to be safe, I'm also saying please do not get into code changes until I confirm. Okay, after this prompt, I will switch to plan. Even here, I think we can switch to plan and we can ask it to review the code and take it further. But after this prompt, I'll switch to the plan so that it doesn't build by itself. It will ask for me to confirm to build. Okay, so let's wait and then we'll take it forward. See here, after reviewing the code base, I can confirm that flat rate functionality is not currently implemented. Uh, okay, it have reviewed everything. Models have only principal, annual rate, tenure months. Front end also doesn't have anything. So it have given all the details. Okay. Now I am switching to plan. Uh, I got the request about flat rate from my boss. I am actually not sure what does it actually mean. I don't want to sound dumb when I go to my boss to confirm to get the confirmation. that we are on same page. So please explain briefly what flat rate means. So sometimes you might get requirements from business or your boss without getting into too many details. And you might say, yeah, I will implement at that time, even though you are not comfortable. And again, you can use the AI to mitigate the communication gaps. Right. So now let's say what it actually comes up with when it says flat rate. So you can see here it is actually giving all the details, flat rate versus reducing balance. Interest is calculated on this is reducing balance method, which is typical EMI calculation. Flat rate is interest is calculated on the original principal amount for all months. Interest stays the same every month, regardless of how much you have paid off. It is less common, a higher total interest. Okay. And you can see here, month one interest rate is 1 lakh, month two interest on uh, month one interest on 1 lakh, interest on 1 lakh, still full amounts and so forth. So you can, it is nothing but repaying the whole amount at the end, and you will end up paying a lot more interest using that approach than the reducing balance. Okay. So that being said, now using this information, you can get the confirmation from your boss, and then you can go ahead and implement. Right. So we have learned about it. I have already changed it to plan here. Now, please list the tasks to add flat rate functionality. So once we review the changes, once we feel comfortable, then only we can implement, right? If it is unnecessarily making changes to certain files where you are not interested, you can say ignore that, and then you can get into the build process. Okay, while it is getting the uh, task, let's review this. Let's see the current functionality. Here, one more issue is these too many visuals are there. We don't need these many visuals. And here we might want to improvise this diagram also, instead of having uh, one uh, uh, one visual in red color, which is referring to interest, and another one for principal. You might just wanted to uh, have the item on cumulative payment over a period of time, whatever is paying, and in that you might wanted to see interest and the principal component in one graph, right? Or whatever visual it have built. So this is a little bit cumbersome. I wanted to improvise that also. We can do that as well using plan, and then you can take it forward. We can clean up this one if you don't want this to be here. And this is already paginated, hence we can live with it, because pagination is always better. Uh, you might want to have a floating header. You can also plan to take care of that with ease. All these things can be done pretty easily, and you can combine these tasks and reduce the number of builds also. Okay. Now it is saying add calculation method field to all Pydantic models in backend models.py. Implement calculate EMI flat rate, blah, 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 so and so forth. And there are more also here. So it is only showing few items here, but total there are 12. You can review all the 12 here. Okay. And here it is all about backend, and then slowly it is talking about front end. And you can see add calculation method indicators badges to all result displays. Add calculation method drop down to each loan scenario. Add calculation method selector to prepayment page. Add calculation method radio buttons to EMI calculator form.jsx and so forth. Okay. But I don't want to implement that flat rate on uh, a prepayment option. Let's say I don't want to implement flat rate on prepayment page. Then you can ask, please avoid the changes in prepayment. I don't want to introduce flat rate in prepayment. Like that, you can improvise and then you can hit on build, and it will take care of building the features you are looking for. You can consolidate multiple issues into one and then pass them as requirements plan and then make changes. Plan is very, very powerful. I started loving it. I just observed they have introduced a couple of weeks back and it have improved my productivity quite a lot. Even before cursor have improved my productivity quite a bit, but now plan have improved it better, and I'm more structured when it comes to implementing these applications. Okay, very powerful. Use all the three features: ask, plan, and agent, and build sophisticated applications for yourself. On top of these, you also need to be familiar about the terminologies. It is very, very important for you to understand the terminologies so that you have the context to build the applications. Without you having the context, you will not be able to build the applications in quick turnaround time. And if you are not comfortable with the terminology, learn terminology. And we are planning a lot of courses on just teaching the terms. We'll gamify and make sure the terms are well understood. Stay tuned, and we are going to announce our first course in first quarter of next year. It will be announced on Udemy. Okay, Udemy and also our LMS. That course you will definitely enjoy. Okay, so that being said, let uh, it is still building. We have to wait until it is completely done, and then we can review. While it is building, you can also see the changes that are happening here. Okay, in main.py, you can see earlier there are only three arguments: principal, annual rate, and tenured months. Now you have calculation method also. You don't need to click on all these things. It will take care eventually. You might end up having keep all. You just have to click on that and everything will be persisted. But while changes are being made, if you wanted to review the changes, this is how you can review the changes. All these green ones are newly added. Red ones are deleted. So if there is an update, it will delete the existing line and it will add a new line. That's why you see a red line here and then green line. So this is being replaced by this line. Okay, that is what it actually means. Sometimes you will see functions being replaced. The whole function might be replaced. So you will see the old function in red and new function in green. So that is how you can interpret these changes while these are being built. And one pro tip while building the applications is don't multitask too much, because it is taking time. You might end up going somewhere and do something else. And what I have observed is it will bring down your productivity. Sometimes this might hang, or you might end up accidentally closing on this and all. So don't multitask. If you are working on a particular task, modularize in such a way where you can see something every half an hour. If you wanted to multitask, focus on this for half an hour and then switch on to something else. That way, your productivity will be significantly higher. But while doing this, if you start taking care of something else in parallel, in the end, it will be counterproductive. You will neither be able to complete this with quality nor be able to complete the other one with quality. Okay. So that being said, it is still building. I don't know why it is taking such a long time. Probably it might be reviewing the code carefully. That's why it might be taking time. Let's see where we stand. I thought it will not take this long, but for some reason it is taking time. Yeah, it have added the flat rate at least on the UI. Earlier it was not there, but now it is. So while this is coming up, let's move on to the next slide. We'll come back to it in a moment. Now, I'll actually talk about different deployment strategies in production. So we have the VM-based approach or Docker-based approach, which is called as virtual private server deployment. We have container orchestration. We have platform as a service. We have serverless deployment. These are the four prominent ways of deploying an application. The first one is the virtual private server approach, where we might end up having VMs, and in the VMs we set up Docker and we build the application. What are the advantages? It is cost effective. You will have complete control because you will be setting up the VM. If you wanted to use AWS, you will be having a EC2 instance. In the EC2 instance, you will be having Nginx, you will be having your React app running, you will have your fast API running. Uh, However, the disadvantages are once you get your EC2 instance, you need to make sure all these are set up manually. So manual setup is the disadvantage. It is best for small teams, learning environments, and budget conscious projects. If the project is small and if you wanted to build in a single VM, probably this is the best bet. And what tools we typically use? We use Docker, Nginx, SSH because we have to connect to this VM quite often, and then we will take it forward. So most of our applications are deployed using this approach till today because at ITVersity the applications are not very big. Hence, we use this approach. The second one is container orchestration. This is where Kubernetes comes into play. You will have a load balancer and you will have an orchestrator, and you will have multiple nodes, and each node will be doing one particular task. Each node will have pods. Each pod will be doing one particular task. So in this case, the load balancer will act as Nginx. You don't have Nginx again. This is good enough. And then there will be a pod which will be running your React code, and there will be a pod which will be running your fast API code. And there can be a database which is external to this, and that's how it works. And all these will be orchestrated in Kubernetes environment using appropriate frameworks. So the advantages are, let's say you wanted to build a very large scale application which is busy in the morning, not so busy in the evening. Evening you might want to give away those resources to something else. That's where you can have the Kubernetes based environment, auto scaling, high availability, zero downtime deployments, and self-healing infrastructure. These are the advantages. What are the disadvantages? It takes a lot of effort to even deploy your first application. And there's a steep learning curve. You have to have a specialized DevOps team. Then only will be able to take care of setting up the environment and deploy the applications on top of that environment. It is best for enterprise applications, microservices architecture, and high traffic systems. All top-notch tech firms like Meta, Netflix, LinkedIn, all these actually run in this in the infrastructure similar to this. What are the tools we typically use? We use Kubernetes or Kubernetes-based engines such as AWS ECS, Google GKE, Azure AKS, Docker Swarms, etc. Docker Swarms are not very prominent these days. And keep in mind, ECS, GKE, and AKS are related to Kubernetes only. So we typically use Kubernetes-based deployment techniques when we wanted to build and deploy enterprise scale applications. Then we have something called as platform as a service, PaaS in short. And there you'll be having the environment provided to you to deploy the applications. You deploy the applications directly. So there will be environment for to run React. There will be environment to run Node or Fast API, and you just deploy. You don't need to worry too much about setting up the environment. So you can just deploy with a simple Git push. You don't need to manage the server. What are the examples for this? Heroku is very prominent example. We use Heroku, which provide platform as a service, and all cloud platforms also have platform as a service. You just have to pick right one from the marketplace, deploy, and take it forward. What are the pros or advantages? Very easy setup, fast deployment. You will be able to scale automatically up and down, and you will be able to build the CI/CD pipelines for this. What are the disadvantages? You have limited customization. You will be locked in with the vendor, Eventually, as you scale up, the cost can go up significantly. For example, in case if you wanted to use Supabase is one of the prominent PaaS these days, or Replit. Replit is agentic coding plus PaaS. They provide runtime also to you. So if you use those platforms in the beginning, it will be very cost effective. You'll be able to build and deploy without much cost. But as you scale, you might end up paying a lot more when it compared to either Kubernetes approach or VPS approach. What is it best for? Rapid prototyping, MVPs, startups, small teams without DevOps expertise. But as you scale up, you should stay away from these. Otherwise, you will end up paying too much money for the platform rather than running your business. Yeah, popular tools are nothing but Heroku, Railway, Render, Fly.io, Google App Engine, Azure App Service. AWS also have something similar to that. Replit comes under that category. Uh, so just use that and build and deploy. As you scale, plan to switch to some other platform. Then comes serverless deployment. You can deploy functions that run on demand, pay only per execution. What are the pros? You just pay per use. Infinite auto scaling, zero server management. You don't need to worry too much about managing the servers. However, disadvantages are when it comes to starting the application, it might take a bit of time. Uh, and also, if there is any functionality which takes more than 15 minutes, it will not work. Okay. Uh, Especially debugging can be a very big challenge because you don't have infrastructure to log in and see what is going wrong, right? It is best for APIs, microservices, event-driven apps with variable traffic. What are the tools and platforms? AWS Lambda is the OG. They are the ones who started these serverless deployments. And then we have this in almost all the cloud platforms. In Google, we have Firebase. We have Cloudflare, we have Netlify, Vercel, and so forth. Okay. So React will be separated and backend will be separated, and these will be integrated through APIs. Uh, where the APIs are served through API gateway. Okay. So that being said, now let's compare all these different deployment strategies. Uh, so on the left side, you have the criteria, right? You have setup time, you have complexity, you have monthly cost, you have scaling, control level, maintenance, best for. And then in the first row, along with criteria, we have different types of deployment strategies. VPS, Kubernetes or ECS, PaaS, serverless, and you can see the details. I mean, setup time with VPS is 2 to 4 hours. Kubernetes is days to weeks. PaaS is 5 to 30 minutes. Serverless, it's 1 to 2 hours. When it comes to complexity, VPS is low. Kubernetes is high. Serverless is medium. PaaS is very low. Monthly cost is, you can see here. So to begin with, it is $5 to 50 minimum when it comes to VPS, because you have to have a virtual machine up and running for all the time. Then you have a cost of more than $100 even to begin with Kubernetes. With PaaS, it's typically 7 to 50, but as you scale, it can go up rapidly, and it's better to switch away from it. Serverless is $0 to $20. If you're not, if there are no requests for your application, you don't need to pay anything. However, there are quite a few other challenges with serverless. Most of the applications are either deployed using VPS/server or PaaS to begin with, and eventually it will get into Kubernetes-based approach. There are particular use cases where serverless comes handy. In those use cases, people use serverless. Okay. So when it comes to scaling with VPS or server, it is manual. With remaining, it is automatic. When it comes to control level, with VPS or server, we have full control. PaaS have medium. Kubernetes have high. Serverless have low. When it comes to maintenance, we have high maintenance with VPS or server. With Kubernetes, we have medium. With PaaS, we have minimal. With serverless, we have none. And what is it best for? VPS is for learning and small apps. Kubernetes is for enterprise and microservices. PaaS is for MVPs and startups. serverless is for API's variable traffic. Okay, so keep these things in mind. Again, this comes under the category of understanding different terms to build sophisticated applications. If you don't have this knowledge, you will not be able to build the application based on the needs. It will be built based on cursor assumptions or hallucinations. You have to be very careful about what you should learn in agentic world, and you have to build those skills over a period of time. Okay, now we'll get into Dockerizing and deploying it. Now let's see what is going on here. The application is deployed. Now, before validating and pushing the changes, let's review the modifications happened, right? So if you observe, this is the high level folder, EMI Calculator 1. In that, there are green files, and beside that, there is U. U stands for untracked. So these two files are added in this iteration. Then you have two files and two folders which are in red, and beside these two red files, you have M. M stands for modified. So since we push the changes to Git repository, these two files are modified, and also there are modifications in these folders. That is what it actually mean. And in this also you can see these three files are modified, and in components also you see these two files are modified. In pages again these three are modified. In services also this api.ds is modified. So this is how you can actually go through a high level list of files and folders which are modified. At any point in time, if you wanted to review the changes happening in any file, you can go here, and then as of now it is not showing here, but there is a powerful extension called as git lens. If you have git lens, you should be able to see the difference in you can see the differences comparing different versions of the file. You can also see view file history. I don't know whether it is because of my git lens or whatever it is, and it will actually show you the details, uh, what changes are made and all. Okay, it is not very obvious here. I think I don't have git lens at this juncture. That's why it is not showing file history. Yeah, I have the git lens, and you can see open file history, and you can see these are the uncommitted changes which are recent. This is the old file, and it is comparing with the previous state of that. It is a new file, hence you see everything in green. But here in uncommitted changes, you can see all the changes happened. All these green lines are nothing but newly added lines. So you can compare and you can take it forward. Okay. Also, it will actually show you who modified, who made the changes and all. This information also comes handy. All these things are possible because I have a extension called as Git Lens. And how to install, if you wanted to install, it is very straightforward. You have to go to extensions marketplace. Where is the extensions mark? I think this is the one. No, this is the agent. Yeah, this is the extensions. Okay, now you can search for Git Lens here. It's a single word, and I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. I have already installed. That's why it is saying uninstall here. For you, it will say install. You just install it and then start reviewing the changes to confirm it is on track or not. Now, if you are not sure about any functionality, you can actually use the same interface and look into the functionality. Also, backend, if you see, everything is in single folder. Okay, probably the code is not modularized properly. Let's review the code here, right? So this calculations.py is already more than 280 lines. This main.py is 175 lines. This models.py is 90 lines. It might be modularized properly. It might not have been modularized properly. You don't need to go to your architect or boss to really understand whether it is modularized properly or not. You can go prepared. I am not saying you shouldn't go. You should go, but it's better if you can go prepared. So how I will achieve that? I will just use chat here. Okay. So I'll create a new chat, and then I'll drag. You can see the backend here. Please review the backend and share your feedback. I am new to software engineering and I am scared to go to my boss with this code. So I'm giving the context about me so that it can actually give the constructive feedback and I can take the message in a bit polished way to my boss so that he doesn't get upset that I'm asking too naive questions. Okay, now it have given quite a lot of important details. Logging is missing, testing is missing. Okay, you might not be aware of these things, but at least based on this, you should be able to build, right? It doesn't take too much of time to learn. Once you start gaining experience, understanding what is logging and taking it further should not be a challenge, right? So code organization is good. It is saying code organization is good. Type hints are good. Input validation, there are quite a few fixes which needs to be done, and it is saying priority to be high. Error handling is too generic, right? You can review this and you can again plan. Okay, now I can switch to plan and ask it to give the task list to take care of all these things, and then see what it is doing, and then you can take it further. Okay, so now, okay, for now, I would like to clean up and push the changes to Git repo. Here are the high level tasks. Clean up unnecessary markdown files or consolidate. Push changes to Git repository. Okay, once this is done, then we will Dockerize this and we will run using Docker-based approach, and then we'll conclude. So we are done with the planning, building, and validating the application. Now we are on track to deploy the application. Yeah, some of you might be from data engineering background and you might feel this is not relevant to you, but keep in mind, even for data engineers, this is relevant. You should be able to build prototypes quickly and then streamline the communication with your customers. I have used that already in one of my projects. You can also enhance the customer experience in uh, especially to so many times as data engineers while doing the pipelines or while building the pipelines we might want to provide some custom data, right? The probably you might want to add new products into the pipeline, or you might want to uh, plug in the holiday calendar, right, in the pipeline to ensure the reports are the data is processed properly based on the holidays in case if there's a requirement to show the website traffic on holidays, right? uh, Holiday calendar might change and you might want to provide an interface to the end user so that he can plug in that information, and based on that you can run your pipelines, right? So if you really understand the value of this as data engineers, you can create a magic with the customers and you can take it further. Okay. That being said, Now let's review this. Which documentation do you want to keep at the root level? Only readme.md, keep readme.md, quickstart.md, keep all three. Okay. So in this case, I'll only have, okay, let me say one C. Two, what about temporary development markdown files? These appear to be progress notes and building the projects. I wanted to delete all of them. Yeah. For Git, initialize repo, add all files and commit. Just add and commit the cleaned files. Uh, so already the repo is initialized. So the repo is already initialized and the baseline code is already pushed. You just take care of pushing the changes to main repository, main branch. So now uh, it will take care of making the required changes. While it is making the changes, I don't like this multitasking because we are running out of time. I wanted to add one more chart. You can see while it is running, uh, this is still running. If I'm not wrong, let me see. Is this the one? No, no, this is not the one. Let me close this. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, clean up and good git push. Now let me click on build and it will take some time, right? Now let me close other charts. I have closed all the other charts. I'm opening a new chart. I'm going to plan. Here I'm saying I would like to deploy the code using VPS where uh, Nginx plus front, where the front end and back end will be running in Docker. Hence, I would like you to plan to Dockerize the application. Okay. Now let's see what it is doing here. I think it have already cleaned up. The code base is ready to be presented professionally. Yeah. So before moving further, let me validate once. Let me refresh. Okay. Let me calculate the EMI. It is working fine. Now let me close this. In this new chart, I am planning to Dockerize. So this is where you might end up running into too many issues if you're not familiar about the infra. You might have to troubleshoot and you might get lost. Don't worry too much if you are getting lost. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll be there to support. Okay. So now here it is saying thank you for providing the details. I can see you have a fast API backend running at port number 8000. Blah blah blah. Deployment architecture. Which setup do you prefer? Simple setup, front end and back end in separate containers with the Docker Compose. Production setup, add Nginx as reverse proxy, separate containers for front end or back end, more production ready. Front end build approach, how would you like to serve the front end? So this is one question about deployment architecture. So one, I'll say B. Two, how do you want to build the front end? So serve production build via Nginx, recommended for production, smaller image. Run wide dev server in container, simpler but larger, not recommended for production. So I'll be going with A. So here I am building for production. Now environment configuration. How should the front end know the backend URL? Use environment variables at builder runtime. Use Nginx proxy to route /API request to backend. Let me say B, assuming it has best practice for production. Correct me if I am wrong. For port exposure, what ports should be exposed on the VPS? Single port, 3000 by Nginx that handle both front-end and back-end routing. Separate ports for front-end and back-end. So I'll go with A. Okay. Now let's hit enter. Yeah, it is saying that is the best practice. Whatever I have asked for 3 is the best practice. In the grade text, it have explained that. Now it is actually dockerizing the application. Let's wait until it is done, then we'll validate. So while it is running, guys, if you join this through Meetup, please provide the rating and the feedback. And over a period of time, the rating plays a vital role. If you think this doesn't deserve 5-star rating, that is fine. You can give 4-star also, but please provide the feedback so that we can plan accordingly. But many times, what people do, they'll just hit 4-star just because they don't want to give 5. But there should be a valid reason in case it doesn't deserve 5-star. Feel free to provide the feedback, and we will try to mitigate going forward. Critical feedback is very, very important. And any rating below 5-star, please give that critical feedback and we will take it forward. Even with 5-star, also, along with ratings, to get ranked, feedback is also important. Please provide the feedback. That way, we'll be motivated to host these sessions. We are also looking for speakers. If you wanted to present anything, reach out to us. We'll plan with you and we'll take it forward. Now, it have come up with the plan. Let me review the plan. It is saying create backend Docker file and Docker ignore. Where are the tasks? Create backend Docker file and Docker ignore update core settings. Create front-end multi-stage Docker file, Docker ignore and nginx.conf for SPA, single page application. SPA stands for single page application. Update white.config.js and api.js to use the relative URLs for production. Create Nginx reverse proxy, Docker file and configuration. Create Docker compose.yaml to orchestrate all services. Create .env.example and .env files for environment configuration, so on and so forth. Everything looks good. Now let me click on build. And keep in mind, to build applications, you don't need to understand all these phrases completely. Just using the plan, it will be able to come up with a proper plan and it will be able to build. But you should have a surface level knowledge about what is what, why we are using Docker, uh, how many Docker Compose files should we have, what is the deployment approach we are going to follow. Is it serverless? Is it orchestration using Kubernetes? Is it PaaS? Is it VPS? So those things you should have a high level knowledge. You don't need to have depth here. Okay. Once you have those details, you should be able to build the applications a lot more effectively. For most of the prototypes, we use either PaaS or VPS. Okay, it is still building. It will take a bit of time. Let's wait until these are taken care of, and then we'll take it further. You can see here again, it is creating a lot of new files. You can see there is a docker compose.yaml, which we are going to run very soon. Meanwhile, I can also take few questions. Let me see if there are any questions. Okay. Konda Basireddy is asking, could you please schedule a session to go over the deployment of a generative AI application on Azure Cloud, including the CI/CD process? Yeah, so it will take some time to build and deploy AI applications. As of now, there's a live cohort going on, and we are focused on GCP. Once that is done, probably early next year, we might plan how to deploy applications on AWS, Azure, GCP, so on and so forth. So subscribe to our meetup or sign up for our meetup. and definitely we will discuss about these things. And also, to ensure we scale up and we cover all these details, I'm actually building the team, and we'll take care of these sessions. See here, if you observe, as part of this, it have this Dockerize EMI calculation plan.md. So this markdown file is the outcome of the planning before we click on build. So it have added that file and then it started building. So this is going to be used as the context for it to build the application. And how did we build this context? Using the existing code base. So we have created a new chart and then we have asked it to Dockerize and it have gone through the code and then it have actually come up with the plan. Okay. And then using that context, we are able to build the Docker component, Docker side of it. Okay. So plan and build is very, very powerful. I started liking it thoroughly. If you really understand these two and learn how to build applications by building 3, 4 small applications, you will be able to rock. Okay. So now the build is done. Let's click on yeah, see here now it have marked this as complete. Keep all. I have clicked on keep all. Now, if you observe, it have actually started added a file called as dockerstart.sh and also docker.md. Let's open this. Let me close others. Let me click on save, save, save. Okay. Now let me preview, go through the details here. It is saying go to this location, build and start Docker compose up -d -build, verify deployment, so and so forth. Okay, and it have provided quite a few other details also because we said VPS. So you don't need to worry too much about all those things. All you need to do is you follow these instructions and then try validating it. Okay. So here are the commands. Okay. However, it also have created this dockerstar.sh. If you use it, it might even tell if everything is fine or not. Let's try using it. Okay. So one thing is with the latest version of Docker, you should not be having hyphen here. So if I run it, it will fail. So let me say docker.sh. You see Docker compose command not found. Okay. Because with the latest version of Docker, you don't need to have hyphen between Docker and compose. Now let me actually search for Docker hyphen compose and I need to fix all the instructions needs to be fixed. Okay. So let me say Docker compose, this has to be fixed. This has to be fixed. Yeah, this also need to be fixed. This one command, yeah, this one also need to be fixed. Okay, now let me save this. Now you see it is being built. Let me maximize this. In the older version of Docker, you need to set up Docker Compose separately than Docker, but with the latest version of Docker, Docker Compose is integral part of Docker. You don't need to set up, and the command is something like this: Docker space compose. Now the application is running in this. Let's see whether it is working as per the expectations or not. Uh, Let me go to the Chrome. Now let me paste. Okay. it is saying EMI calculator. Okay, let me say docs. Yeah, docs is working, and UI is not working for some reason. Now, what you can do is you can actually take the screenshot of this and then paste it here. This is debugging and troubleshooting. Uh, I am able to start the Docker containers as per the instructions, but when I visit localhost 80, it is showing as per the screenshot. So I have already attached the screenshot here, you can see. And now let's see what it have to say. So this is again debugging or troubleshooting, debugging and then troubleshooting using cursor itself. Okay. The Nginx reverse proxy is routing all requests to the backend instead of frontend. The JSON response you are seeing is from the backend APIs. That's why it is not working. Now it is trying to fix. You can see it have even ran this command docker compose down and docker compose up hyphen d hyphen hyphen build. It means it have actually restarted the application also. We have to wait until this is completely done and then we can take it forward. Now I think it is fine. Let's go to the browser. Let's click on refresh button and you can see as per the expectations. Let's click on calculate EMI. The EMI is calculated without any issues. We can also validate the functionality of prepayment. Let's say uh, start prepayment from 12th month, total 240 months, right? And prepayment frequency is yearly. I wanted to prepay 50,000 rupees or 50,000 currency, whatever unit you want to use. And let's say 5 million or 50 lakhs. Uh, and then let's say this is 1 lakh or 100,000. Okay. Now let's see what it have to say. Every 12 months there is a prepayment. You can see now monthly EMI is 43,391. Total interest is this much. And total prepayment is this much. Sorry, this is without prepayment and this is with prepayment. So EMI doesn't change when it comes to prepayments. It will still be same, but as you prepay for your EMI, the interest component will be reduced and your principal component will be higher over a period of time, and that's how overall you will be able to pay it earlier. So within 168 months instead of 240 months, which is nothing but 168 months means 10 years is 120, 12 is 144, 13 is 156, 14 years. Within 14 years, you will be able to prepay, close the loan. And you can see the interest comparison. So you are only paying this much interest compared to this when it comes to prepayment. Uh, and total payment is this. There's a difference of this much. Okay. So even prepayment is working as per the expectations. You can also do the comparison uh, again 5 million with 8.5 interest rate, 240 months tenure, reducing versus again same amount. Let me make sure the amount is same. The interest rate is same, 8.5. Tenure is 120 months and it's only flat rate. And you can see loan 1 versus loan 2. Total interest is this much in 20 years. This is in 10 years, right? And you can see the details here. Okay. Total payment, total interest, monthly EMI, so on and so forth. So like that, you can actually validate the comparison part also. And all these are being served by Docker containers, which are deployed within your local system. Now we should be able to use these Docker containers to deploy on a VM on AWS or GCP or whatever environment you want to deploy. Okay. So that being said, uh, let me go back to the presentation here. We have gone through Dockerizing and deploying locally. And here is the key takeaways: clear separation of UI and backend using fast API. When it comes to UI, we have used React and we have used Nginx for proxy. We have seen how Cursor accelerates the development while you control the architecture because of the plan process. Plan and agent are the features of Cursor which will give you that accelerated development capability while you control the architecture without Cursor hallucinating too much. Okay. And we have seen how to build applications in small testable increments. It will definitely improve code quality instead of asking to take care of everything in one shot. We have done in three steps. One, the basic features. Then we have realized that the flat rate is missing. We have added that flat rate. Then we have validated, and then we have Dockerized, right? That small testable incremental approach will definitely improve the quality of your application and also the code quality. We haven't done the whole 9 years here because of the time constraint. We can also introduce the steps to review the code and then fix the gaps and then take it forward. When we attempt to review the code as a naive when it comes to building the applications, it told the logging is not there, the exception handling is too generic, so and so forth, right? So we can mitigate those things in incremental fashion and we can take it further. So keep in mind the modern tech stack enables fast production-ready deployment. Now we can extend our project by integrating with the database. We can add authentication and features. We can see the history of the calculations made by a typical user. All those things can be added without much issues, right? So as someone have asked, I will plan for another session within 3 to 4 weeks where we'll actually see this website in action. You might end up, or you might be able to use this application whenever you want to calculate the EMIs. And keep in mind, we are planning something called as the ITVersity Marketplace, where we will be hosting your applications also eventually. If you build some application using AI approach, and if we like it, we will be able to host on our website and we will take it further. Okay. So that being said, before we wrap up, if you guys have any questions, let me know. As I have mentioned already, if you joined this through Meetup, make sure you go back to Meetup, give the rating and feedback. It means a lot for us, and stay tuned for more sessions like this. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you very much, and see you in the next.